3 female former employees of Goldman Sachs are suing the bank, claiming they were denied better opportunities and money that they say were offered to men at the firm. The women claim that there's a culture of unchecked gender bias at the investment giant. Goldman Sachs is saying the suit is without merit. What's going to likely happen next? Joining us to talk about this case is a former federal prosecutor, Fred Tecce. I should clarify as well, or specify, he has more than 20 years, has handled business litigation and criminal prosecutions, defending many companies as well, facing cases like this. Nice to see you here in New York versus Philadelphia.
Good to be here. I love coming to the Big Apple.
Okay, so unchecked gender bias, that's what they're claiming. There's a culture of that exists there. They're saying fewer pay and fewer opportunities. How difficult is it to create a case like this?
Well, I actually think it's not as difficult as you think. I mean, I've read the complaint. It was a very detailed complaint. You know, in federal court, you only have to put enough facts in to put the other side on notice. These guys have gone through almost 40 pages of detailed facts, right down to stories of going to topless bars, which I think, you know, is indicative of a culture that is really not very beneficial to women. And they brought the suit on behalf of themselves and others. And in order to prevail, they have to show, you know, kind of this was what was there. Okay,
so again, not on just for the 3 ladies, but on behalf of others. So what needs to happen to take this to class action status?
What actually has to happen is there has to be a hearing where they try to move to have the case declared as a class action case. And there's a bunch of things that they have to show. One of the things that they have to show is that there's a lot of people who would fall underneath this umbrella. And generally what people who write books about class action cases tell you, if there's more than 40 people as plaintiffs, that's going to be a class action case. They allege that there's at least 100. And from what I've read in here, I think there could be significantly more, going back to all the women who worked there, going back to 2004.
Okay, but at the core of the case, though, since you've been on the other side of it, how are the companies now responding after receiving a case like this, a litigation like this?
Okay, well, Goldman comes out and says that, you know, the case has no merit, which the last time I heard him say that was when they got sued by the SEC, and I got 550 million reasons why that may not have been accurate. But they say the case has no merit. They'll defend upon it in a number of different ways, but I think I would be surprised if the judge doesn't declare this a class action case, and the women have to come in and show that, you know, that there was an atmosphere of intentional discrimination, that the male counterparts got better jobs, that their supervisors had the opportunity to kind of willy-nilly just assign things to people, pick their good old boy buddies and gave the work to them, thereby increasing their income, and went over and passed the women. And so, and they have interesting statistics about how, as you move up the chain at Goldman, the number of women go down markedly. So I mean, it
sounds like what you're saying is it's not tough to prove?
Well, you know what? No case is ever over until the jury comes back and says you win, and this is how much money you're going to give you. But I will tell you that ultimately, I don't think that this case will be it will be hard to prove, just like any general civil litigation case. But it's not impossible. And remember, it's a proof by a preponderance of the evidence. So they just have to show that it was more likely than not the way they say it was.
It's not the first time we're seeing a case like this. So I imagine you're not surprised. And will we see more cases like this?
You know, it's interesting. We saw back in 2007, I think Morgan Stanley settled a case with women for $46 million. Although, interestingly, I think the latest statistics from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, shows that the number of filings are actually down in this area. But that could mean 2 things. It could mean that the number of women who are working there, because it's become a hostile environment, has been reduced, although they look at statistics across the country. Getting back to the answer to your original question, I mean, this won't be the last case like this, I think, that you're going to see coming out of Wall Street.
You said there were actually 2 points there when it was related. Well, maybe not. I thought there were 2. There was 1. We covered both of them in one as well.
There may have been 2 points when I started.
Okay. Yeah, but when you're looking at a case like this, take the umbrella view. What lessons need to be learned right now?
Okay, well, 35,000 feet and going 500 miles an hour, the lessons that need to be learned is that employers need to be cognizant of what the work environment is like for both men and for women. I mean, some of the allegations in this complaint are pretty serious. And if I'm an employer, I mean, the first plaintiff, Chen-Oster, alleges that, you know, once she was made to go, not made to go, but felt compelled to go to a party at a topless bar. That's completely inappropriate. And then secondly, suffered hands of actual sexual harassment or sexual abuse from a coworker who told her boss, and her boss never said a word to her. That is not the kind of activity that is consistent with the law. And if you're an employer, you need to pay close attention to this and act accordingly.
All right. Well, this is clearly a case we'll be talking to you about in the future as well.
Thanks for having me.
Fred Tecce, again, former federal prosecutor.